get more reaction to the budget speech by the Finance Minister, Tito Mboweni. Now, no wealth tax to be implemented. Some tax relief for what are described as low and middle income tax brackets. Big increases in sin taxes on the tobacco and alcohol products. More support for SAA. And no real movement on public sector wages. Zwelinzima Vavi is the General Secretary of the South African Federation of Trade Unions. Mr. Vavi, good afternoon to you. A reduction in social grants in real terms over the next 3 years is what the numbers appear to tell us. How do you feel about this budget?
It's austerity gone mad, Stephen. The minister was trying to put up a stand that there is no austerity. There is austerity. Government is cutting expenditure. Left, right, and center. Government is squeezing life out of the social grants. It has freezed the wages of the workers. It has cut even the CCMA budget to the tune of 600 million rands, which makes the CCMA not to be able to perform its constitutional responsibility to ensuring that workers have a fair labor standard. It has squeezed the education budget. It has suspended the Via or the rollout of the public transport system. It has created absolute havoc everywhere in the economy, and it's now insulting even the pensioners. You know, this thing will be laughable if it was not a serious matter, giving people an extra 10 rand to 30 rand every month, and at a time when government is announcing almost every fortnight an increase in the petrol price, in the paraffin, diesel, in gas, and which then amounts to an increase on food and transport inflation. Already, the poor South Africans are spending 60% of their income on those two budget items. The transport cost, because of the spatial development of apartheid, which put us 15 kilometers away from the cities, as well as the food inflation. I mean, it's like government was not listening to the Statistician General report on unemployment yesterday. I mean, there's no relationship whatsoever between the fact that we were hearing these horror figures yesterday. 63% of our young people below the age of 24 are now unemployed. And nothing for them, no basic income grant, as you are saying. There is no talk of extending that special grant of unemployment, which is tokenist at 350 rand. We have called with a coalition of other civil society that it be increased at least to 585, which is the food poverty line for every individual a month. No talk of that. No talk of the wealth tax, solidarity tax. No steps announced to arrest the corporate thugs and thieves who are shifting up to 400 billion rands in illicit cash.
Well, hold on, Mr. Vavi. I mean, I appreciate what you say, but just on the tax issue, and I'm not talking about the wealth tax issue. I'm talking about, you say, no measures to try and stop people who are getting away with not paying their tax. I mean, that was a centerpiece of the speech. There's going to be a new big unit in SARS. The SARS Commissioner, Edward Kieswetter, says that they are going to try and be more effective and make sure that people who avoid or evade paying tax are forced to pay it. I mean, that's what they're supposed to be doing.
How many times have we heard the same thing, Stephen? Didn't Pravin Gordhan say that? Didn't Malusi Gigaba say that? Didn't Trevor Manuel say that? All of the previous ministers, normally when under pressure, mention that we are building capacity, there's a special unit, we're going to be chasing these guys. Not one single corporate thug is in prison. Yet the PwC report year in, year out say we are the second most corrupt country when it comes to our corporates. Not one of them is in prison. Not Marcus Joffe, not anyone who have looted the billions through clever and aggressive tax dodging schemes. Not a single one for looting the up to 35 to 40% of our procurement budget, because the government have a soft heart for them.
And the government has a soft heart for them. What do you mean by that?
Absolutely. Tell me who's populating the prison. That's how you see it, Chief. Who's populating the prison? Is it the thugs who are milking this economy dry, or is it ordinary guys who are stealing sweets at Shoprite Checkers?
There was no statement on public sector workers, and I'm talking specifically about the salaries. In fact, what the minister said was that Senator Mqunu, the Minister of Public Service Administration, is in negotiations. You will know, of course, what happened in the Labour Appeal Court and the decision just before the budget last year, and when the Finance Minister said that the last increase of the multi-year agreement would not be implemented. Is there something going on behind the scenes that maybe you're aware of here, Mr. Vavi? I mean, it seems odd that the minister said nothing. I've seen some indications, and people are still going through the budget documents, that government may intend to try and reduce the bill over the next few years.
Look, the budget policy framework statement made it categorical, and that statement have not been reversed. There's a wage freeze. Government have bolted out of an agreed to 2018 agreement, didn't implement the third leg of that agreement. In addition to that, government announced that it is embarking on a wage freeze until 2024, I think. That's 3-4 years of a wage freeze. It's cruel. It's cold. It has already collapsed the collective bargaining in the public sector. Yesterday, or no, in fact today, it was supposed to be the deadline where unions will submit their demands for the next 3 years. And our unions are saying to us, don't waste our time. There's no integrity left of collective bargaining in the public service because the decisions that we should be negotiating upon have already been announced through the medium-term budget policy statement is in October last year. Why waste our members' time? What I think they are saying is that what is needed is unity across all of the federations to immediately embark on a protracted strike demanding that government implement the increases that it refused to implement for last year. And that's, I think, what is needed. We were in the streets today to demand the same as SAFTU, but we accept that SAFTU alone, without a total unity, not just of trade unions, but unity of the entire working class, will not make government change its mind in terms of its chosen route of solving the crisis of a capitalist meltdown on the backs of workers and the poor of this country.
There were very difficult scenes. I mean, it seemed to me scenes of violence caught by our cameras, the Newzroom Afrika cameras this afternoon outside Parliament. I presume that you're quite upset by what happened there, that the march wasn't allowed to proceed.
We are very upset. This again underlines the point that we are raising. We're living in two worlds, Stephen. There's a world of the minister. Things are turning around. We will have a surplus in 2023. We are decreasing corporate taxes to 27%. Whereas during the apartheid, these corporates were paying up to 52% of corporate taxes. We will arrest the debt to GDP at 82%, when the debt to GDP ratio was at some point 115% at the time when South Africa saw its longest economic growth in the 1930s. And in the world of the minister, things are working just fine. But in our world, and look at this world, in our world, when we try to exercise our rights to protest, we get beaten up, we pepper sprayed, we bait charged, we threatened with arrest. Actually, our provincial secretary, who we are demanding his immediate release, was assaulted and arrested. The chairperson of Dimausa in the Western Cape was assaulted and arrested. They are now facing 3 charges, completely clear strategy to disrupt their right to protest against the austerity programs of the government. 2-3 weeks ago, Steve, you know, the rich assembled and descended in the beaches of Cape Town in defiance of the lockdown regulations. No mask, no social distance, and what did the police do? Did they pepper spray them? Did they beat them up? Did they lock any of them? No, because indeed, we're coming from these two worlds. The world of the rich, which is just 10%, but have the wealth that is 90% of the population, and the 90% of the population only enjoying a 10% wealth of this country. We are two countries in one. Their eyes even in the enforcement of the regulation. There's an eye for the rich and white, and there's an eye for the working class and the poor. And there's no doubt about the fact that there's no relationship between the two. When those people defied the regulations, what happened? Our president hurriedly convened a press conference to announce that everybody can now go to the beach. Complete capitulation to the demands of the rich. When the poor say we are dying of hunger, we are unemployed, 63% of our youth are unemployed, trapped in drugs and life of vicious violence, where 58 people are picked up in the streets of South Africa on a daily basis. What happens? The government, through the police, pounce on them, beat people up, bring barbed wire in Cape Town, and as if we are the worst kinds of criminals to live in society. That's the reality of the two worlds.
Zwelinzima Vavi, General Secretary of the South African Federation of Trade Unions, thank you for your time on The Pulse. Do appreciate it.